Hey again. Sorry, Fire Agate Mark here. I'm just sitting outside enjoying a little summer rain, a little rainstorm, and I love the lighting that happens when this happens. The clouds filter out a lot of the light, but it lets it in such a way that it's really good for looking at fire agate. If I was inspecting fire agate, this would be the perfect day for it. Um, so we might look a little fire agate just to show how the lighting affects it. But I'm going to do a little carving today too. So there's a few essential tools. You want to make sure you've got a good mask. I like using a respirator. This happens to be a 3M respirator. Magnifying visor. This is kind of a knockoff Harbor Freight. Not the best made, but what I do like is that I have two different levels of magnification. This comes in handy. And sorry if I look all sweaty. It's hot out here. It's probably about 85 degrees and pretty muggy. So, but I love it. Anyway, um, thank you to everybody. Thank you to all the people who've clicked like and subscribe and supported and hit that notifications bar so they're watching my videos when they come out. I'm extremely grateful for you. Thank you for everybody who shared the videos, got them out there so that if you're interested in carving, hopefully I can provide you with enough information to get going and do something that's not only fun, addictive, potentially lucrative. I hope you're enjoying yourself. Be safe. Um, and I just want to make sure that everybody's getting the information they need to do what they need. So again, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me at fireagatemark@gmail.com. Um, and if you've got video suggestions, please give them to me. I'd love to hear them. Thank you, Cutting Edge Supply Company, for the tools. Wonderful, wonderful selection of tools from large to small, everything in between. I'll post a link so you can check them out. Thank you to for the Diathin and the Diashine. Roland, the VH Technologies stuff that you have is bar none. For dry sanding, for detailed work, for fine work, I mean, you can't get better. Um, as far as working wet, or um, let's see, what's my other favorite? Diamond Pacific. I love Diamond Pacific. I love these little Nova points. This is kind of what set me in motion, propelled me to the next level with carving, because there was this little nodule that I couldn't get into, this little pocket that I couldn't get into to polish. Um, so one person had suggested that I try these, and they were amazing. Uh, since then, sometimes I'll get in there with the skewer, little diamond powder, and then just grate it away with the skewer, or a little sandpaper and a skewer. Um, that also comes in handy, or chopstick. Um, let's see. I'm going to go over some tools today. Uh, I'd like to show you some of the Varancor tools. Those things, they are dynamic cutters, and let's see if we can show a difference in how different bits give you different results. I would love to see that. I'd love to see a side-by-side put together. Um, I want to make sure that if you're getting tools, you realize you can buy cheaper tools and get started. But if you realize this is something for you, or you plan on doing this for a long period of time, you want to get quality tools that are going to last you for a while. You want to get higher quality because it provides you with a better finish, it's more efficient, less wear and tear on your hands, it'll just last longer. So in reality, it doesn't really cost that much more if you plan on working for it for a lot longer. All you have to do is be careful with your tools, clean them off when you're done, not use too much pressure. You don't want to overexert the pressure. You don't want to clock the speed that you're supposed to be going when you're working with that particular bit. A lot of them are rated, and you can see what they are. I typically like to operate on the lower end. I also, the general rule of thumb is the coarser the bit, the slower you're going, the lighter the pressure. So maybe a half ounce of pressure, you know, 5 to 7,000 RPM. And then the higher grit, the 600, 800, 1200 grit, they can go a little bit faster. If you're up to, you know, 40,000 grit polish and a fine abrasive soft bristle brush, sorry, if you're going with... All right, so here's an example of different shank sizes that you'll run into. The size of the shank, this is the shank that holds the bit. This is a 1.6 millimeter shank, so it's quite small. The bit is from Heiko. They're sintered, fully sintered, pardon me. So they're impregnated with diamond through and through and held in a host metal that's a little bit softer and wears away as you grind into the stone. So the 1.6 is great, but you need to have a handle that will allow you to have a 1.6 millimeter head, or you'll have to get an adapter. And there are adapters that you can use. Let's see. Here's an adapter that I have that, well, I use it for polishing to get it down into small areas. I'll put a little polish on the end of a chopstick or skewer, or in this case, a toothpick, and then I'll just kind of work my way in there. There's different styles. So that's 1.6 millimeter. And then these are, I think this is 3/32. This is a Diamond Pacific bit. This is fully sintered too. These things are great. This is fine. I like this style because of the way they wear. But this one, for some reason, it was coarser when it started off, and it hasn't maintained that coarse. So I think what I need to maybe consider doing is dressing the wheels, using something to kind of scrub them out instead of just a toothbrush. Because I'll come in with a toothbrush and some Dawn dish soap and clean them off when I'm done, then dry them real well. This is not diamond sintered. This is sprayed on, or electroplate, diamond electroplate. So these bits, these are 60 grit, super coarse. You can buy a set of 50 for around 25 bucks. They're great for doing the rough coarse work, getting really, really close, but you got to know when to stop. All right. Should we look at some stones? Let's see. So here's a little Imperial, Aguascalientes, hot waters. Let's see. Yeah, you can see that right underneath that first layer, right on the surface, there's that pretty blue, green, yellow, and the stone doesn't even look real. So if you candle the stone, so you can see the drop off. So there you might have some ghosty color, but not really worth messing with. So I'd probably just trim that part off. Some people would use this, save it, polish around, maybe drill through, use it for a pendant, or incorporate some of the chalcedony. And I've seen some really pretty ways that people incorporate it. These are nice when they're deeply layered like that. This one is easier to see with incandescent light. When you start getting the purples and the blues, you need much brighter light to be able to see those. I like when it's got this black rock over it, this almost charcoal-like black rock. I've had really, oh, there's some pretty color down there. I've had some really good results where you start getting these electric blues and purple and green. I think that's what's right underneath here. So smaller stone, but oh, there might be another one down there. Still dynamic. Oh yeah. So the Piedras Negras, the black rock, is fun because you start getting these electric colors, these bright shades, almost metallic, and it's against the black background, so they're very vivid. Okie doke. So, these bits, Verancor, amazing. This one's made in Spain. This is a fine, as you can tell by the yellow neck, the banding. Sometimes you'll have the banding, sometimes it just breaks off, wears away. These are fully sintered, so diamond through and through. And what happens when you're wearing them, you see how they wear. But even small, all the way down to here, they still serve a purpose. They're still going to get in there and give you control over these tiny areas so you can get in, do a little fine work, and get a little good cutting in. Anyway, so what you can do if this neck falls off, all you have to do is take your magnifying visor, look through it, look at the diamond on the other side, and you'll be able to hold it up next to different bits. After a while, you'll be able to tell the difference between fine, medium, and coarse. With the camera, you can actually zoom in far enough where, let's see, that's at 4 times magnification. So that's the diamond powder embedded in. You can see a little sparkle. And it's embedded into a softer metal that wears away evenly. So that's why I like these so much. I did want to show you that there are these as well. Heiko, these Swiss made. These things are amazing. They're wonderful bits, but they're also pretty cost prohibitive. You should check them out if you're interested in maybe just buying one tool, and as long as you're super careful with it, they'll still last quite a while. Here's a set of chamois, chamois heads, burrs. These things are great. They're like felt. They're shaped. They've got these different little edges that help you get into the stone while you're polishing. These are good for starting polish or coarser polish. You would work these through until you're done working out any sort of abrasions or scratches. Make sure there's nothing left before moving on to the next one. The next one might consist of like a soft brush. This is considered a soft brush. It's not as soft as I prefer for the final polish, but this is good for maybe like an 8,000 grit polish. Shine puts out these beautiful chamois ones. The chamois is nice because it holds the polish, and then the bristles give you that nice high gloss. These tend to be one of my favorites for the polish. It's just a single head that's horsehair, extra soft, nice and long. These things are great. They're great for a plain polish. You can really get down into these nice little nooks and crannies. Great ones. For some rapid removal of coarse material, I like these in the more, these, even though they're electroplated, it's a nice thick layer of electroplate. So you've got several millimeters of coarse electroplate in this 40 grit, an 80 grit, and they could go up to 600 grit. So these things are fantastic. They're Diamond Pacific, but I've had a lot of trouble ordering through Diamond Pacific in the past. So I've noticed that Cutting Edge Supply Company was nice enough not only to take on those, but kind of the partner in crime. These things, these domed cutters, are in the same grits, and they're just super aggressive. Wonderful tools. They'll last a long time if you use the right pressure. As long as you keep your tool clean, take care of it, you'll be good to go. Alright, here's a stone that's been worked for a little bit, windowed down. Just kind of clearing some of that chalcedony off, doing some rough cuts. And that's all done with coarse bits until you start getting close to these bubbles. You'll see the outline of the bubbles. You want to slow down. You want to switch to something that's a medium grit. Or I'll cut with a more aggressive one, but I don't advocate that if you're learning. I would advocate going to something that's a medium grit, maybe, I don't know, 250 to 375 grit to kind of work in between. That way you don't remove too much material, because you can always go back and take off more. In this instance, I'm going to simulate carving without a drip system. I just have a tub of water. I douse the stone. Gentle speed, maybe 5,000 to 7,000 RPM. I'm not going to use more than an ounce of pressure. I'm going to keep the bit moving. As soon as it starts to get milky, I'll dip the stone. And as long as I'm not using too much pressure, it'll kind of create this slurry that almost polishes as I go. At this point, you really do want to be wearing a respirator and not breathing this. But for the fact that I'm narrating this portion, so I'm also carving outside, and I'm making sure that I have a good steady breeze so I don't have to breathe this. We've already got some fires nearby, and the smoke is enough of a killer. And stop frequently and assess the stone. Assess how it's going, where you're going. You can see it's starting to come a little bit more clear through there. It really does. Even with gentle pressure and low speed, it still removes quite a bit of material pretty quickly. So I realize that now there's a little bit of a lip there. I'm going to want to come around and hit it from different angles so I don't wind up with a lip that's too pronounced. And I'll do this coarse work with a bigger bit. I'll get close to the bubbles, but to define them, I'm usually switching off to the 1.6 millimeter dental bits, the really fine ones, or something a little more fine to kind of work in between each of the bubbles. That way it just highlights it and brings the color out. But for this coarse work, this is an ideal bit. Just to kind of define those bubbles, shape them, get rid of any deep tool marks that you might have. And yeah, I still have an air purifier going right now. Even though I'm outdoors, I still want to make sure there's enough of a breeze and it's whisking enough of the dust away that I don't feel really awkward for not wearing a mask for a few minutes while I narrate. So in this area, I mean, you can candle it, see where it goes. That's still coursework that needs to be done. And that'll I'll be doing with the 40, 60 grit, 80 grit maybe. Come in, remove this lip right there, all the way back down to the fire agate. But that's basically what I'm doing. I'm working down to that one lip right here where you can see, let's see if we can zoom in. You can see a little hint of green in the background. I can see the outline of the bubbles. This is where I'm going to stop with that coarse bit, or that medium bit. And the rest, I'll come in with a 1.6 millimeter and define these valleys. I'll clear up around that and then highlight that bubble. And just clean that whole area up. That's generally the way I'm going to approach this. But as you can see, there's really good color in the stone. Alright, so we have some gorgeous clouds overhead, some rain clouds, but it's just the right amount of light. This is going to be perfect. Let's look at some high grade. Alright, I decided Imperial grade instead. And this is that one of the pieces I showed you earlier. So with the Imperial, and here we go, the water's, so I'm soaking the rocks in a little bit of Dawn and a little bit of Jet Dry. So this is another reason why you just don't want to lick rocks, for anyone who's a rock licker. Here we go. Some of this is where the rock chipped off, broke off, and exposed the face, where all it needs is basically a little bit of polish and the stone is done. There might be a little bit of blending in here to get down to 2 or 3 different layers at the same time. Yeah, that's some pretty color. I don't know if it's filming the same way that it's showing up in to my eyes. Let's see, oh, that's some high-grade slaughter, but anyway, I just want to come out here and kind of play with the rocks after they've sat for a while, figure out what I'm going to work on next. It just tends to be the way it goes. If you need some good material, I try to post some on eBay. I've got lots of 4-ounce lots of high grade that I have, and every once in a while I'll put out some of the Imperial grade. There we go. Anyway, thank you so much for watching Mark's Minerals videos. Thank you for watching Fire Agate Mark. Thank you again to all the amazing people who've liked and subscribed. Thank you, Cutting Edge Supply Company. And I just want to say thank you to everybody. I hope you have a wonderful night. Take care.